Okay, now let's proceed to cells. Uh, we all know that all living things are composed of cells. That means that all living things, whether it could be a plant or animals or a microorganisms or even a human itself, are composed of cells. Cells is a membrane covered structure that contains all living materials necessary for life. I will be discussing this further once that we proceed to organelles for you to be able to understand it clearly. Next one is cells, also called the building blocks of life. Of course, like what we have discussed previously, it could be a multicellular or unicellular composed of one cell, such as a bacteria. For a multicellular, it could be plants or animals. Next one, the study of cells is called cell biology or cellular biology. Cells from Latin word cella, meaning small room. Now let's proceed to the discovery of cell. Well, it all started with Robert Hooke during 1665. He is the first person who coined the term cell, and he is also responsible for the beginning of cytology as a subdiscipline in biology. For Anton van Leeuwenhoek, during 1673, he discovered the bacteria and other microorganisms and studied the structure of the plants and animals and tissue. Now let's proceed to the cell theory. Okay, so as we all know that because of this discovery, right, who started off from Anton van Leeuwenhoek and also Robert Hooke, scientists later discovered a lot of more about cells using more powerful microscope. And because of that discovery, they come up with the development of a cell theory during 1839 by Theodore Swan and Matthew Jacob Swallenden. They come up with this theory, such as they say that cells are the smallest living thing because it is microscopic. It has to. We cannot see it by the naked eye. It has to be. We have to use a microscope for us to be able to see it. Every living things is made up of cell. Of course, plants, animals, humans are made up of cells. Cells divide to form new cells. That means that there is a reproduction, such as it will undergo mitosis. Okay, so these are things that they have come up with a cell theory. Now, to explain to you about the organization of life, or what we call the levels of biological organization. The first one is cell. It is considered to be the smallest functional unit of life. Okay, and it made up of what we call the tissues. A tissues is a group of cells performing a similar functions. And of course, the organs, these are a group of different tissue form or joint structurally and cooperating functionally to perform a specialized task. One good example for organs are heart, liver, lungs. Those are some example of organs. And for the organ system, these are group of organs that contributes to the performance of one or more major functions. So some example for the organ systems are the skeletal system, nervous system, cardiovascular system. Those are example of the organ system. And of course, we'll come up with an organism, which is it good example for this one are human, animals, and plants, of course, because these are individual living things. Okay, so now let's proceed to the types of cells. We do have two types of cells. We have the prokaryotic cells, we have the eukaryotic cells, and of course, the difference between the two, the eukaryotic cells, cells that do have a nucleus, they do have membrane-bound organelles, and of course, it is a linear DNA. And good example for this one are plants and animals. While the prokaryotic cells are totally the opposite of the eukaryotic, and the good example for this one are bacteria. These are unicellular, so that means it only contains one cell. Now let's proceed to the parts of the cell, or what we call the organelles. If we say organelles, it is also called as little organs. Okay? Uh, the parts of the cells are composed of the cytoplasm, the cell membrane, cell wall, nucleolus, ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, chloroplast, Golgi complex, vacuoles, and lysosomes. I will be discussing this to you one by one for you to be able to understand it clearly. I also have some illustration for you to be able to understand it. Okay, but before we proceed to that, I want to show you first an illustration. What's the difference between an animal cell and also a plant cell? If you will be able to see that in the plant cell, there is a square shape size of the cell because of the cell wall, while on the animal cell, it is a spherical shape. Its shape is a spherical shape. Okay, so now let's proceed to the parts and function of the cell. Let's start with the first organelle, which is the cytoplasm. If we say cytoplasm, it contains a jelly-like fluid inside the cell. Okay, and the organelles are found floating here. So that means it is a semi-fluid enclosed within the plasma membrane. It consists fluid, cytosol, and also organelles and other structures. Okay, so there's where the cytoplasm is located at. So this is the cell. The cytoplasm is inside. Okay, next one. Let's proceed to the cell membrane. For the cell membrane, it is considered to be the protects the cell from invaders, keep the cytoplasm inside, allows the materials in and out of the cell. To show you an illustration, how does it look like? As you can see here, this is the cell. There's is the outer covering of the cell is where the cell membrane is located at. For the cell membrane also, it is a protein studded phospholipid bilayer that envelopes the cell. So it covers the whole cell itself. Okay? So the next one is what we call the cell wall. By the way, for the cell wall, it only has the plant cell only contains cell wall. The animals doesn't have. It provides strength and support to the cell membrane. Okay? And also gives the plant cell their square shape, like what I've said earlier. For the cell wall, contains a polysaccharide substance that found outside the plasma membrane of the plant cell. Okay? Next one. Let's proceed to the nucleus. For the nucleus, it is considered to be the control center of the cell, or what we call the brain itself, where the DNA is found. Okay? And by the way, it is like its shape is a spherical. To show you an illustration, here it is. Okay, so it is a spherical shape. This is the nucleus it's located at, and surrounded by a double membrane, contains nucleus and also chromosomes. So the nucleus and also the chromosomes is presently found inside of the nucleus. Okay, so for the nucleus, where the nucleus is located inside the nucleus, okay, it stores materials to make ribosomes. Is found inside the cell, like what I've said. For the nucleus, it's a rounded mass within the nucleus. Okay, it contains RNA, excuse me, and proteins. It contains RNA and proteins. So the nucleus is who produce ribosomes. Okay, and if there is ribosomes, those ribosomes eventually will transport proteins and other materials. Okay, so for ribosomes, it is a site of protein synthesis. Amino acids are joined together to make proteins, are found in the cytoplasm or attached to the endoplasmic reticulum, smallest but the most abundant organelle. So let's go back to my illustration here. So in the nucleolus, where the ribosome has been produced, so once that it's already ready to release, automatically the ribosome will go out of the nucleus, going out to the nucleus. It goes to the cytoplasm and also goes directly to the endoplasmic reticulum. So for the endoplasmic reticulum, by the way, let me show it to you, the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so if the nucleus where the ribosome has been released, automatically the ribosome, this color green over here, will attach to the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay? So once it is attached, it is already called as a rough endoplasmic reticulum. For those endoplasmic reticulum has no ribosomes attached, we call that a smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay? Again, endoplasmic reticulum is an internal delivery system, makes lipids and other materials for inside and outside of the cell. It breaks down drug and harmful chemicals. May be covered with ribosomes, or like what I've said, it could be a rough ER or it could be a smooth ER without ribosomes, right? And it's usually found near the nucleus. Are we clear? Now let's proceed to mitochondria. It is considered to be the powerhouse of the cell. To show you how does it look like, here it is. Okay, where the energy has been supplied for the need of the cell. And also, by the way, once that the energy has been produced, it will transform into ATP, or what we call the adenosine triphosphate, for cellular respiration. And it also is surrounded by two membranes as well. Now let's proceed to chloroplast. For chloroplast, usually chloroplast is only present in plant cell because it contains chlorophyll that produces the green pigment of the plant. Okay, the main function, of course, of chloroplast is to absorb sunlight to help plants make nutrients for energy. Okay, now let's proceed to the Golgi complex. Okay, for the Golgi complex, or what we call the Golgi apparatus or the Golgi body, so after from the endoplasmic reticulum, you still remember that, automatically those proteins will now go, or those lipids, proteins, will automatically goes to the Golgi complex. Okay, and bind to another substance. Okay, so like for example, the lipid will bind with the protein. Okay, it binds inside the Golgi complex. Okay, so materials are packaged in vesicles for shipment outside of the cell, called as a membrane-bound sap. It is also creation of lysosome, where lysosome, another organelle, has been produced inside the Golgi complex. By the way, for those packed material, like what I've said, was been bond, like for example, a lipid and a protein has been bond, automatically it is inside the Golgi complex. Once it is all ready for release, it goes directly out of the Golgi complex, and of course go directly outside of the cell as well and do its function. Okay? Now let's proceed to another one, which is the vacuole. For the vacuole, it stores water and other liquids. Large vacuoles found in plants. In plants has bigger vacuole compared, or larger vacuole compared to animals. Lysosomes. Okay, for lysosomes, we have it digests or breaks down the materials found in the vesicles with enzymes, chemicals, get rid of waste, protects the cell against invaders found in animal cells. So again, it is only found in animal cells, like in eukaryotic cells. Why is it that there is no lysosome which is found in plant cell? Lysosomes are not needed in the plant cells because they have cell walls that are tough enough to keep the large foreign substance that the lysosome would usually digest out of the cell. So that's why lysosome is not present in the plant cell anymore. Next one, we do have the cytoskeleton. Are proteins fibers that gives the cell in shape, offers support and facilitate movements, aiding in proper cell division through two main components. So the cytoskeleton also serve as a protection and also helps as a frame, giving the shape of the cell its form. Okay, so it also serves as a support as well. So it has two main components. The first one is the microfilaments, or what we call the actin filaments, and the other one is the microtubules, or what we call the tubulins. Okay? So again, it has the same function. It supports the cell. It also gives the size or the shape itself, okay, of the cell to form a to form a cell divisions as well. Okay? To show you the difference between an animal cell, a plant cell. Okay, as you can see here in the plant cell, to show it to you, the cell membrane is located here, where the cytoplasm, again, it's inside the cell, right? It's a jelly-like fluid. The nucleus is inside, which is in the middle part. The nucleolus is located inside the nucleus, where the ribosomes has been produced. The DNA or the genetic materials is present inside the nucleus. The ER, what we call endoplasmic reticulum, okay, where once that the ribosomes has been attached to it, and the mitochondria serve as the powerhouse of the cell. It gives energy, and of course, the Golgi complex, or what we call the Golgi body, Golgi apparatus. Okay, this where after from the endoplasmic reticulum, the substance automatically goes to the Golgi complex that will bond together, such as the protein and also the um, the lipids will automatically bond together. And once that it's already ready, automatically it goes out of the cell to do its function. Next one, we have, of course, the ribosomes again. It came from the nucleolus for protein synthesis. The lysosomes, of course, it is the one of the defense mechanism, right? It's usually found only in animal cells. There is no present in a plant cell. Chloroplast, this gives the green pigment because there is presence of chlorophyll, right? And of course, the vacuole. Vacuole is stores water, serve as a storage of water. Usually found in plants has a bigger vacuole or larger vacuole compared to the animal cell has a very small. And of course, okay, just to compare both animal cell and animals plant cell, as you can see here, the only difference it has that the animal cell contains lysosomes while plant cell doesn't have. For the plant cell, it contains cell wall and chloroplast while the animal cell doesn't have. This is the difference between the two. Okay? So I hope that you have learned about the